The Texas Homeschool Coalition has been around for almost 40 years. We came into existence to defend the fundamental right of parents to make decisions for their kids, explicitly being able to homeschool them. And today we have started a sister organization you may be aware of called the Family Freedom Project, because that battle to empower parents has gone way beyond just being able to homeschool. We saw this kicked off on the national level a year ago when in the Republican and the gubernatorial battle in Virginia, we saw the Democratic nominee argue that parents should not be involved in public schools' choosing of curriculum, while the Republican nominee argued that parents should absolutely be involved in the education of their children at every level. And the voters of Virginia agreed and chose that Republican nominee in what was then called a purple state of Virginia. So these battles are going on all over the country. They're taking the form of battles over sexually explicit books in the public school libraries that are available to children. It's ironic that you see parents wanting to read from these books in these public hearings at school boards and being told they cannot because children are there. And of course, these books are available to children in these public schools. And then we see opportunities for legislatures to take a position on these issues. In Florida, you saw Governor DeSantis actually push for and sign into law a bill that made it not allowable for teachers and elementary age kids to talk about sexualization of these children, whether it was LGBTQ stuff or other sexually explicit stuff. Now, the left went apoplectic over that. And so, as usual, we see California moving in a far leftist position where they've actually on the verge of passing legislation that would criminalize parents who refuse to, quote unquote, affirm their children in their desire to transition to a different gender. And when we see these battles going on in Texas, the interesting thing, however, in the Texas legislature is Governor Abbott just is beginning to sign these bills into law to prohibit these kinds of things at the public school level, sexualizing children through explicit sexual books in libraries, talking about transitioning children in the school curriculum. And this battle is continuing to go on. In fact, it's becoming very apparent that the children are the object in these battles. Utah just passed a bill to force porn sites to actually to not allow minors to be on their websites. And that has blown up into a huge thing. And some people are arguing, you know, if you really don't want to do that, this may point out that these groups are actually targeting children. So that seems to be the case in the public schools and these curriculum approaches, with teacher unions opposing these efforts. And what we are now seeing is that, at least in Texas, there's a pushback happening as the governor is signing pro-parental rights legislation, empowering parents on these issues related to these sexual issues. So I hope you will join us in celebrating these victories. I think it is indicative that we heard President Biden recently argue that there is no such thing as someone else's children. No such thing as someone else's children. Our nation's children are all our children. And of course, we disagree with that. We align more closely with Moms for Liberty, a group of moms who have famously, I love their t-shirt that says, "I do not choose to co-parent with the government." In other words, parents should be the ones making decisions for their children. So I hope you'll click on the links below. I hope you share this video with other friends, and I hope you'll continue to help us keep Texas families free.